Ian Rapoport broke the news on the Odell Beckham Jr. contract situation with the Giants, the 5-year extension yesterday afternoon, and Odell gets what he wants. He's the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, both in terms of annual money and in terms of those guaranteed dollars, which certainly is the most important when you talk to NFL players. And the NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport joins us here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Ian, thanks so much for taking the time. And I guess before we kind of dive into the numbers and the situation itself, were you surprised it got done when it did?
I really wasn't, actually. You know, and this is something, obviously, I've sort of been tracking, you know, for the last, not just several weeks, but for several months. And, you know, the goal had always been to get it done before the season started. And one thing the Giants were very, very cognizant of was how much these things can kind of weigh on you. You know, when Eli Manning got his deal, I think 3 years ago now, it got done, I believe, like 2 days before the season. That's a lot to handle, even for someone like Eli. And for Odell, you know, there's always sort of that extra excitement with anything. So I think they wanted it to get done. It was pretty clear late last week that it was headed in that direction, and, you know, just a matter of finishing it off. And, you know, the Giants got to where they needed to, which was Odell being, you know, the highest paid player or at receiver in the NFL by, you know, a pretty solid margin, a full $1 million per year, and gave Odell some upside, and the deal was done.
I'm glad you mentioned that full $1 million per year, and this won't surprise you, but I think for the average fan, you can get bogged down by all of the numbers that go into an NFL contract. It ends up being about $18 million per, right? Even though I think we're going to term it as 20 per year over the first 3 years, and maybe that's the most accurate way to look at it, Ian. If you're talking to a casual Giants fan this morning, how would you describe this contract that Odell Beckham Jr. got yesterday? What are the most important numbers to look at?
Most important numbers, he gets $18 million per year over the course of the deal. That can increase to $19 million based on incentives. He gets $41 million fully guaranteed, so just by signing his name, he is guaranteed no matter what, $41 million. For injury, if he gets injured over the course of the first several years of the deal, $65 million is guaranteed. So if he, you know, goes down with an injury and is not able to play anymore, then he gets $65 million. That's all, you know, obviously a huge sum. And then over the first 3 years of the deal, he averages $20 million. So basically, you know, quarterback money. And I think that was, you know, something that was really important to him to get that cash flow really early on in the deal, and it kind of helps explain why it was able to get done.
All of what you just described, man, it would have me dancing in the locker room with Sterling Shepard as well. That Instagram.
How great was that video, huh?
That was incredible. And you know what? I mean, look, I know people get angry with the amount of money professional athletes get, but they're living in a different world. It is fun to kind of see them celebrate not only their teammates, but even themselves on some level. And you've seen on Twitter all over the place, like even Julian Edelman tweeted out a picture that he was congratulating Odell Beckham Jr. I need to ask you, you retweeted a photo last night from Jarvis Landry with Odell Beckham Jr. I didn't even recognize the two of them. How old were they in that picture?
I know. I believe they were like 16 in that picture. And, you know, those two have been buddies for a long time. Friends, competitors, buddies, everything. And now, I mean, they're two of the highest paid receivers in the NFL. And, you know, both those guys did not have an easy journey to get there. Odell's includes a major injury. And, you know, in addition to that, a lot of criticism, some not great choices off the field, a lot of things. Landry includes criticism from his own team, getting traded, and now both of these guys have done incredibly well, two of the highest paid receivers in the NFL.
Ian Rapoport broke the news yesterday on Twitter that Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants had a contract extension. You can check him out on Twitter, @RapSheet, and you can see Ian throughout the week on NFL Network's NFL Total Access Live. That's every night at 7 o'clock, but let's not lie. Sometimes you catch him on Good Morning Football as well, working all hours of the day for NFL Network. Ian, okay, what does this do for the Giants now? If we look at it in terms of a 3-year deal and with that guaranteed money, this new Giants regime, Dave Gettleman, Pat Shurmur, they're all in to win now. With Beckham healthy and happy, we can assume, what is their ceiling this season?
I mean, for them, this is all kind of about retooling around Eli. And, if you look at what they did, they locked up Odell. They drafted Saquon. The next pick was a guard, extremely important just to keep this offensive line. Think about what the Giants did, okay? Eli's there already. But instead of drafting a successor, they signed the best left tackle available. They drafted one of the best guards available. They locked up Odell, and they drafted the best running back anyone's seen in years. That is a lot of supporting cast firepower around Eli Manning, and that's really what this entire season is about for the Giants. It's a bet on the fact that Eli has 2 or 3 more really good years in him. And if that's true, then the Giants are going to be good for those years. If it's not true, then they passed on Sam Darnold, and it would lead to obviously a lot more questions.
Ian, I'm going to let you go on this. We are in Albany, so our fan base spans a bunch of different professional franchises, being 2.5 hours from New York City, 2.5 hours from Boston or so. And so I've had Mets fans on us all year, and I know you're a Mets fan, and people have said to me, tell me something good about the Mets. And lately I feel like I've been able to do that with the way Zach Wheeler is pitching in addition to Jacob deGrom. But tell me something good about your Mets and what has you positive moving forward.
They didn't trade any of the best thing that they have going for them. I mean, that's the best thing is they get all these pitchers, coming back. They didn't deal deGrom. They didn't deal Wheeler. Didn't deal Syndergaard. This is what you build around. This is what, you want for the next 10 years. And I was really happy to see that they didn't make any of these trades. And, if they had done it, it would have been worth it. In other words, just getting prospects back. But I'm happy that they're keeping it together. I don't think the Mets are that far off at all. So I like the direction they're heading, even though this year was clearly a step back.
Oh, listen, we get Ian Rapoport on our show. We ask him to dive deep not only into the NFL, but also Major League Baseball as an NFL Network insider. Ian, I really appreciate the time. Everybody go check him out on Twitter @RapSheet. That's where you'll get the NFL breaking news that he so daily provides. Ian, appreciate the time, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks for having me.